Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. I haven't done one of these tier lists in a while and it's time. How I feel the matchups are basically. Some of them have changed a lot, others not so much. Where are the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse? I lost JP, where are you JP? Boom. I think it's fair to say that I might not need to explain myself. They have a very simple plan against Zangief. They can keep Zangief away very easily. There's not much you can do with Zangief in these matchups. It's not that you cannot win them, it's more that you have everything against you. And no change for Zangief between seasons 1, 2 or 3 has really addressed these 4 matches. And they have been nerfed. These 4 characters have received changes, but nothing has actually been modified for Zangief. He's still the same character that struggles against these 4. There are always gonna be bad matches unless Zangief gets some kind of tool to close the gap. Edmond Honda and also Manon. I think these 2 are still pretty simple for Zangief. They don't necessarily have the best mobility. They get easily punished by Lariat or just normals. SPD is really strong against these 2. They don't break Zangief that often. Overall, I would say Zangief can do pretty well against Honda. He always has to second guess himself with everything in that matchup. Manon doesn't have the best pokes. She's mostly gonna use jump ins and standing heavy kick. I would totally get a Manon player putting Zangief in S tier or something. Guile is pretty alright. Zangief has no super easy matchups. Before I forget, I don't think I said that with the very buenos. But with that in mind, he's still pretty much strong against Guile. You can use a standing heavy punch and sweep very often. Guile is a very meter hungry kind of character. Blocking a headbutt is a no-no for him. You have to play the long matchup against Guile. I just made a guide about Sagat, but right now, I think Sagat is alright. With time, I think he can move to the please stop hitting me, but for now, I think he's alright. Zangief has a really long sweep, which is a problem for Sagat. Since the low fireball is so bad, you can react with super level 2. The OD one, the one that hits multiple times and it's a medium, it's a 21 frame fireball. You can react with super level 2. You do have great pokes with Sagat, but you also have good pokes with Zangief. That matchup is going to rely mostly on who jumps first and how, and what kind of buttons you use from afar. And in that sense, I think Sagat is better, but at the moment, the Sagat players are still figuring out how to beat Zangief. There's still some issues from both sides. Another kind of hot take, I guess. In the previous season, fighting Chun-Li was mostly an annoying thing. It was very difficult. You had to deal with the standing heavy punch, the crouching medium kick. It was awful. Since the changes for both Zangief and Chun-Li, this has become one of the worst matches, in my opinion, for Zangief at the moment in the game. It's very on par with these 4. She has everything. A really good forward medium punch, Oki, corner carry, mix-ups with the overheads and low, a good fireball, standing heavy punch, as I said, it's amazing. It's just too much. Let's just do it. I think Ryu is probably one of the worst matches right now. Every second that passes, he receives a buff. And with the nerfs to hurtboxes and generally how you play the character, he just benefits. He's probably the best character in the game. Luke for me has always been a kinda alright matchup. He has great buttons, great utility supers too, but you can still beat him with standing heavy punch, sweeps, standing medium punches. His fireball game is not as strong as other characters. He's still pretty good and fast, and his super level 1 is fast, but overall I wouldn't say he's a completely bad matchup for Zangief. Similarly, I feel the same about Jamie. Jamie has received some changes that are pretty good for Jamie players, but they don't necessarily change how the matchup has been. It's mostly about the nerfs to Zangief. You can lose to dive kick sometimes. He's a very momentum based character and you can be taken to a corner and just lose in the corner as any matchup with Zangief. But I would say standing heavy punch is probably your best button over here. Standing medium kick is pretty good, especially if he tries to do his sweep outside of your range. The only thing you have to understand in this matchup is that he will get to at least drink level 2 or 3. You don't have the tools to stop that. Blanca is seriously close to I don't like playing this game anymore. He just has so many tools. It's extremely hard to stop the Blanca balls. Excellent buttons. His command sweep basically beats almost everything you can do on whiff, and it's a punish counter. You lose meter. You have nothing to do against super level 2. It's just very, very bad. You need a DP in this matchup, I think. You don't have that with Zangief, you have only super level 3, and sure, you can hit him with super level 3 sometimes, but it's not enough. In the previous season, I felt Kimberly was over here. It was alright, nothing terrible, but then they started buffing this character to the heavens. The anti-air you have with Zangief, basically Lariat, is very hard to use in this matchup due to the elbow. It's just insanely complicated. The standing medium kick is so easy to space and so difficult for Zangief to deal with. In the corner, you're probably not gonna survive. Elena, at first, people thought you were going to Tundra everything. That is not the case. That being said, crouching is, and you have a sweep. It's really not a good character in terms of poking, keeping the pressure. Your super level 3 beats a lot of the options after the roll. She has to overly respect you in some ways. Her jumpings are not really that good. The only thing she has going on in this matchup is that she has good carry, good corner carry. I think Elena players, wait, do they exist? Well, if they do, I don't think they like the Zangief matchup. Rashid is not terrible for Zangief. In fact, I've seen a lot of Rashid players hate the Zangief matchup. The toolkit that Zangief has naturally fights very well against a character like Rashid, a character that needs to be in your face. The super level 2 is not that terrible with Zangief. You can use light SPD sometimes when Rashid tries to go for something crazy. You can grab him before the tornado hits you. And the mix-up in the corner, if you have super level 3, can be pretty annoying for Rashid to deal with. You can hit hard this guy, and no matter how he jumps, you always can jump with something and catch Rashid. In fact, very likely you're going to do a lot of bursts. I think Akuma is annoying. His demon flip or demon raid in this game is just, I don't know what they were thinking with that thing. But it's not impossible for Zangief. And I'm not going to mention the damage because that's the obvious thing. You can fight the neutral pretty well, but demon raid is the thing that kind of gives the edge to Akuma. I think Ken, I'm going to do a package. Ken and Terry, it's not necessarily awful for Zangief to fight these two. I think more Ken than Terry. Terry for me can be over here because even with everything that Terry has, that Ken has, they still need to fight someone close to Zangief. Or they need to Dragon Flash and do random Drive Rush. Or in this case, Burning Knuckle, which is fast. It's very difficult to catch, but it's not impossible. And your standing heavy punch definitely is very good against these two. Of course, annoying is like the word for Zangief. A lot of annoying matches, but I don't think they're impossible. You do have tools against them. More often than not, you're gonna outpoke them. They have a lot of space traps and really good buttons. I still feel Zangief is somewhat, I wouldn't say completely comfortable, but you can fight these two. But the matchup can be wild. Aki is very close to being over here. Even more than Blanca and Kimberly. I don't think I would mind if someone puts Aki over here. She's just extremely strong at stopping Zangief. Zangief is a slow guy. You're gonna be eating either fireballs, which for some reason she can cancel into the OD slide, so your super level 2 is out of the question in this matchup. Serpent Lash, you're gonna get hit by it. You need to DI or just pray for a perfect parry, I guess. Jumping is impossible. If you're in burnout, you're gonna die. You might as well just go to the next round. It is near impossible to beat Aki unless she makes a mistake. And that usually happens, which is I guess the funny thing about this. She usually makes a mistake, and that's the moment where the Zangief player needs to go in and completely destroy her. I've seen Aki players winning by a mile, having the biggest of the life leads, and they still lose because they wake up with a random dry reversal sometimes. But when the Aki player doesn't need to get into that position, let's say she's just throwing fireballs and standing heavy kicks and serpent lashes, you're not gonna get anything. Marisa used to be here. It used to be okay for me. It was difficult, complicated sometimes. Standing heavy kick is definitely annoying, but with all the buffs Marisa has got, I'd say it's over here. Super level 1, now you cannot do anything about a wake up super level 1 like before. And that's just one thing. She got mainly buffs to combos. She just melts Zangief's life. If your standing heavy punch whiffs, which is probably the button you're gonna use in the neutral with sweep, she's gonna standing heavy kick, take you to the corner, and there's no escape. She doesn't even need to reset you. You're gonna die because of damage. A horrible matchup that I don't think is gonna change unless they buff Zangief at this point. Another some kind of controversial take, I think Bison is not terrible with Zangief. All of your tools stop forward momentum. He mostly gonna eat some random standing medium punch, random standing medium kick. He deals good damage, but your crouching light kick is pretty good at stopping some drive rushes. Like when he goes for the overhead, after a knockdown, you can stop him with crouching light kick. He cannot go for random scissors. So pretty much you can keep somewhat under control some of his buttons. That being said, if the Bison doesn't want to close the gap, you need to start walking forwards, and that can open you up for a crouching medium kick or a standing heavy punch. Still, I would say it's pretty even for both sides. And another hot take, this is probably pretty much gonna be a really hot take. I don't think Mai is terrible for Zangief. I know what you're gonna say. Are you crazy? Mai is one of the best characters in the game. I think she's pretty good, but the way she has to play the matchup against Zangief is not terrible for Zangief. The fireball is not horrible to deal with Zangief. You have your standing heavy punch, DI, your sweep, you have long buttons. She mostly will try to poke with standing heavy kick, which you can sweep, or crouching medium punch. It's very easy to crouching medium punch DRC that thing. Her jump, even if she goes for the dive attack, is not difficult to stop with Zangief. The moment where the matchup is kind of complicated for Zangief, of course, is when she gets super level 1 and she has the OD Chun-Li fan or the regular fire fan. But still, you can even wake up in situations with super level 2 and you're gonna catch her. So it's not necessarily as impossible as you think. I much prefer to fight Mai to Chun-Li, or this is another that in the previous season was overheating all right. I thought Cammy was kinda easy sometimes even, but right now, with all the changes, specifically to Zangief, I think it is very easy for Zangief players to just blink and she will be in your face throwing dive kicks and you lose. Your standing heavy punch is not consistent. It was never super consistent in this one. She can outpace you, outpoke you. The damage is not that high, that's probably the only thing that is going on at the moment. But she has everything you might want in a character with rushdown type of style. The hooligan is almost impossible to react with Zangief. It's already pretty difficult with all the characters with DPs, and with a character that doesn't have one, it's kind of slow like Zangief. Excellent Oki, plus frames. She doesn't even need to drive rush to have plus frames. That's another problem. Standing heavy kick seems to hit from the other side of the screen. I don't even know at the moment how you can control Cammy. Surprise, surprise, Juri was also over here in the last season. I think the Juri players, this is gonna sound really strange, but I think the reason why the Juri players are over here or were over here in the last season was mostly of the way they play. If the Juri player knows what they have to do in the Zangief matchup, this is easily the stop hitting me kind of tier. The thing is that the Juri players tend to be crazy and they tend to do some things that they shouldn't in the matchup. A minimal amount of buttons and movements, but they tend to do random stuff sometimes. Like, I've seen Juri players, more than any other character, Juri players have done minus frames into ODDP. And that should tell you something. I'm gonna leave her here because technically I feel she stops everything you can do with Zangief, but more likely you're gonna fight Juri players over here and you're not gonna struggle that much. Yeah, you can easily lose to DJ. Sway basically breaks this matchup. There's little you can do against a really good position Sway. Excellent damage, really good fireball, great pokes, a sweep that you cannot punish. Absolutely crazy and probably one of the best drive rushes in the game. You're gonna get thrown in that matchup and I don't see any changes. They've been secretly buffing DJ every single patch. It's like they really want this guy to be as good as Ryu maybe. So far it's not the case, but he's really close. I'm gonna sound again like a broken record, but if you don't have the tools to stop a character, that matchup is gonna be hell for you. Now I'm gonna do something crazy. Obviously we have no knowledge of all these three characters. I shouldn't do anything with them. So I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna try to guess. I think Sea Viper is gonna be horrible for Zangief. Ingrid is gonna be kinda alright. And now the super big hot take. Depending on how they do Alex, he can be either alright or just, I don't like this game anymore. It'll all depend on how they balance Alex, but he can easily be one of the worst matches of Zangief. Go to the Siberian Live on Twitch, I play Zangief and a little bit of Saga too. We're waiting for Alex, of course. Take care of yourselves, keep playing grapplers, hydrate, and I'm gonna be seeing you in the next video. Take care, see you soon. Bye bye.